I don't care what your name is, but I can talk to you.
All right. There we go.
Welcome back to Switchcast Live. What? I thought you were mad at Spectrum again. Welcome back to Switchcast Live. This is the beauty of being live. Those of you listening on audio missed the little gems we have here, but we appreciate you being with us here tonight. I am your host, Doug Tabbutt, founder of Switchcars, Cannonball Run record holder, and just general head of shenaniganry here on the podcast. Switchcast is the podcast where we seek to educate, edify, and entertain you on the drive of your life. And while we're doing that, we're being very entertained ourselves. This season, we've been focusing primarily on topics and guests that help our listeners become smarter buyers and sellers, avoid scams, and make informed decisions from their initial purchase through all aspects of ownership. And I did make somebody a promise that we were going to talk about shipping cars tonight, because that is a topic we get a lot of questions about. It's a murky road to navigate, a little bit of a pun intended. But we're not. We're going to do that next week. So sorry. Going to keep you all waiting. But anyway, if you have questions about shipping, we've got a lot to cover on that. But if you have questions about car shipping, slide into our DMs, as they say, and send us a message. We'll try our best to cover those next week. This week, we're just doing a general Q&A. We've had a lot of really good questions over the last few weeks that we haven't been able to get to. We're going to do our best to get to those tonight. But we are also always prioritizing live questions, and even more so if you send them with stars, gifts, whatever that's called. Money. This is how we operate here. We are sellouts. We can be bought. So if you're watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok, shoot us your automotive-related questions, and we'll talk about absolutely anything as long as it can be tied to cars in some way, and it doesn't get us banned off of TikTok like we were last week for about 30 seconds. So for no apparent reason.
None.
Yep. Got canceled. Anyway, so shoot us your questions. Tyler and Ethan will be getting those over to me, and we'll do our best to answer them somewhat seriously. What's that?
Ethan is already saying that's not going to happen. No. There's
Yes.
at least some seriousness.
Somewhat. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I may quit the podcast, though. I found a way to get rich.
All right, what is it?
I found the scam of the century.
Mm-hmm.
Can you bring us with you?
Sure.
Sweet.
So
All right,
there was
let's
an
go
article
then.
this week that one of Finland's richest citizens got a $130,000 speeding fine. And this was not for going 200 miles an hour. He was going like 18 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Oh, goodness.
Right? Right. Soccer moms do that every day in my neighborhood. But Finland fines drivers based on their income. So it's essentially like they break it down to a half a day's wages is your speeding ticket. So he makes a lot of money, so his was 130 grand. Yeah.
Oh, half a day is 130 grand.
Yes.
Oh.
But this is like, I figured out this life hack.
Okay.
I'm going to go on welfare and Cannonball Finland.
Okay.
Okay.
Think about it, right? Because I get paid to speed. If you think that welfare is negative income, right? Because, right, if you
I
make
see.
money,
Yeah,
you pay taxes to the government. If you make no money, you get money from the government. So that's like negative income, right? You're so
then if
poor
you
that you're
speed-
paying negative taxes. So if I speed and my income is negative because I'm on welfare, then
cop
my
has to
ticket
pay
would
you.
be right.
You know, I don't know how things go on that side of the pond, but it might be worth a shot. I don't know if math works that way over there.
Just don't think about it too hard because welfare is still income, but I see it as negative income. So
If you don't think about it too hard, it might. Yeah,
it
might
makes a
hold
lot of
water.
sense.
Yeah, all right, no.
Yeah. Anyway, there's some pontificators online who are very much in favor of this manner of taxing, or I'm sorry, well, speeding is a tax, but of taxing people based on their income for speeding, because one article said something to the effect of, well, that's the only way that justice can be fair and equitable. And I was like, come on, it's speeding. The word justice should never come into play with the average speeding infraction. It's a revenue generator. Another article opines that a wealthy person would be less likely to speed if they were facing prohibitive fines. And I was like, well, yeah, but a wealthy person is more likely to have a car that's capable of going fast safely. So if you enact this system to where it's expensive for wealthy people and cheap for the average citizen, then you're going to have a whole bunch of people in hoopties running around, flying around the highways without a care in the world, because they'll be like, hey, I get pulled over, it's like $2, man, no big deal. I'm like, this is not a good situation. I mean, I disagree with the whole concept of speeding fines in general. It is plain and simple a tax. So I don't know. Maybe they're right. If it is a tax, then maybe it should be income based. It's wrong either way. So
it is an interesting way to do it, though. We do
interesting
have,
as a word.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good word for it because I didn't take either side of it. I didn't want to. On the subject of speed, we do have a super chat already from somebody on
all
YouTube. Right. Garrett Murphy, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. They ask, is there a minimum top speed you think would be necessary for a car to beat the current Cannonball record? If so, what is the number?
A minimum top speed. I don't think it's about top speed. I think it's about sustained cruising speed. To do it under normal traffic scenarios, you have to go as fast as possible at all times possible. But that is not just like, oh, flat out, I have space, so I'm going to go 190. As fast as possible combines factors like, okay, not blowing people's doors off, passing safely, making sure you have enough time to react. So a lot of times when we would have space to go 180, we're only going 120 because there's just other people around. So no, I don't think it's about like a minimum top speed. I think your car has to be capable of at least 150 to 160 because you have to maintain those cruising speeds when you do have the space in order to average more than 110. So I guess if that's the question he's asking, that's, versus just like, okay, what speed can I hit? Like you don't need to be able to go 200, but yeah, you have to at least be able to cruise at 150.
Makes sense.
We got a tipper in a TikTok here, Douglas Martin, who's getting very antsy about us not monitoring this chat here. But rest assured,
so many questions though. We appreciate it. Thank you for your tip.
Yes, we are monitoring all platforms here. And,
except Facebook.
Nope, I've got it up.
No, Tyler's
all
on
right.
Facebook. Yep.
Say hi to Bill Sosky. He's here every week.
Yep. So Douglas, we do appreciate the tip. He said, Doug, do you need 20 grand? I want a car. And he said, my name is Doug as well. He said, for anyone but yourself. So I don't know, 20 grand?
20 grand.
For a car for anyone but yourself.
Okay, so he wants my opinion, but not what would I do if I was in my shoes.
I guess,
right?
Yes.
So
Douglas,
you got 20 grand to
correct
spend.
Me. I want to respect this question. Please correct me if I interpreted that wrong.
You have 20 grand to spend. What do you buy for anyone that's not me?
All right, would it be like, what would you buy for somebody else that you think is good?
Depends how much I like them. I might buy somebody a Yugo. Here you go.
But they also might like that. You do that with Dan Doucette or Mark Spence, they might enjoy it.
This is true. This is very true.
Douglas,
also, where are you going to spend $20K on a Yugo?
Douglas just says,
we do have a Yugo. We do have a Yugo coming up for sale. That's very nice. It could exceed $9,000. It's that good.
Yowza.
It's not 20 grand, but I got an LS I'll sell you that would make it more than 20. Can you imagine an LS swapped Yugo?
It wouldn't stay
Now
together.
You could call it a You Really Go.
obliterated this question. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We are 9 minutes in, and the rails are not even in sight anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Douglas
like
is-
like a train in East Ohio.
For some
the
reason,
rails.
for some reason, Douglas is continuing to tip
Norfolk
us, and
Southern.
I'm not sure why, but thank you very much for that.
This podcast is brought to you by Norfolk Southern because we are off the rails.
Oh my god.
All right.
Ethan, if you're looking for podcast highlights, timestamp 9 minutes.
Yeah, we are. This is,
All right. Back to Doug's question.
Woo! Sorry, everybody. Coming back to Earth now.
All right. What clarifying? Can you clarify Doug's?
He said he wants your interpretation. He says, do you want 20 grand? I want a car for anyone but yourself.
For anyone but myself. Okay, if it's for anyone but myself, it would be an automatic because I would buy a stick. So, it would probably be practical.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yes.
I like it.
It would be a sedan because, or like a 2+2 coupe, because I like having a car that's the best for every possible scenario. And most people will take like, okay, they buy one car that's like a do everything type of car. So I feel like it would be like an Audi S5 DCT, right? It's reasonably fun. It's a good car. It's all-wheel drive. You can drive it all year round. It's a good transmission. It's a good like drivetrain combination. The DCT with that V8 is nice. Except if it was not for me, then I would buy the supercharged 3.0 T or whatever the next generation after the V8 was. Yeah, so I'd buy like a 2015 Audi S5. I would not buy one. That would be a great car for somebody else for 20 grand that they could use for everything. Go to their job, put a bike rack on top, whatever they do.
Is that only 20 grand? I thought they were more expensive than that.
Yeah. I was
No, like a 13, 14, 15, you could get an S5 around 20 grand. Exactly. For anyone but me. I don't have to worry about the maintenance.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, fine. And then a low mileage 2010. I mean, you can get S5s around 20 grand.
Okay,
We just sold an 18 for like 27, so I'm sure you could get a 14 for less.
Douglas Martin is continuing to tip us and says,
Was my opinion that good?
well, now he wants to know what you would buy, Doug. In all
For
caps.
20 grand? Friggin' Corvette C5. What else?
It's the objective right answer.
If I had to buy a sedan, though, I'd buy a really high. Okay, I'd buy the car we have out here. We have a 188,000 mile E39 M5. And I love driving those. Everything about that car is really good. So, anyway, but no, I'd buy a Corvette, a really good Corvette C5 for 20 grand.
Would you daily that?
Yeah.
There you go.
I used to daily a Corvette C5. I've put like 50,000 miles on Corvette C5s in the last 12 years. 30,000 were in the first 4 years.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Great name. Let's speaking of Corvettes.
Oh, yeah. It looks like Doug needs to take a bit of a break, and the Corvette Curmudgeon is going to come in and hang out with us for a little bit. How are you doing this evening, Mr. Corvette Curmudgeon? How's it going?
Oh, just living the dream. Another day in paradise.
I see you've got a Crystal Pepsi shirt on. Do you remember when that came out for real?
Oh, yep.
How did you feel
Yep.
about Crystal Pepsi when it came out?
Oh, it was good. It was good. Yep.
You didn't think they changed it too much by making it clear instead of,
Well, it was a little bit of a fad, but, it tasted good. So,
All right.
Yep.
Okay. At least what they came out with recently tastes good. Anywho, so I don't know if you've been able to stay up late enough to hear when we read. We've got an ad. Nuts for Sticks is a great sponsor of the podcast. Nuts for Sticks. Have you heard this before?
nope.
So Nuts for Sticks
Sounds kind of odd. Is that when you ride like two men ride two up on a motorcycle?
Not quite. Not close, but not quite. So Nuts for Sticks is a brand that celebrates manual transmissions. You know, shifting gears yourself, clutch pedal,
Okay.
gear lever, that whole thing.
Okay.
So you're
Yep.
following me?
Yep.
So
Okay, gotcha.
I wanted to ask you tonight: are you nuts for sticks?
I still feel like you're asking me if I drink Bud Light or something. I'm not sure about this question.
Do you like manual transmissions? Do you think they're better than automatics?
Yeah, well, yeah, because they're more rare. Friggin' 80% of Corvettes are automatic, so if I want to have a rare Corvette, I buy a manual. Then them friggin' young people can't steal it either, and my grandson can't drive it. Neither can my son. He's a little patsy. Friggin' his wife runs the ship in that house. So, yeah, he doesn't know how to drive stick.
So I think you're right. A lot of young folk don't know how to drive sticks, but I think Nuts for Sticks is more about the enjoyment of driving a manual, less maybe not because it's so rare. Do you enjoy driving a manual transmission more?
Well, I enjoy washing my car.
Okay. All right.
Well, not washing it. I don't use water. I've never actually washed it because it's never been dirty. But I enjoy getting the California car duster out and wiping it down and checking out my spec sheet. And I look at that and see it's a manual transmission. That's a rare option. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that isn't exactly where I wanted it to go, but I always appreciate your insight. So thanks for
Well,
coming
thank
around.
you. Will I pick up my check on the way out, or?
You just got to wait till the end of the show, and we'll take care of you then. Can you
Well,
stay
I
up that
got to
late?
go home and get to bed. So,
Well, we'll get you next week then. It'll be
okay.
All right. We'll
All
figure it
right.
out.
All right.
And as always, the Corvette Curmudgeon is brought to you unwittingly by the Corvette Buy-Sell Trade Group on Facebook, your source for cranky boomers, overpriced Corvettes, and reinforced stereotypes.
All right, so I have the listing of the week from the Corvette Buy-Sell Trade Group. It is not disappointed. So this week, somebody dangerously listed a 94 Dodge Viper RT10 in the Corvette Buy-Sell Trade Group, which is a big no-no, but some people got some great comments in before it got taken down. But the guy who listed it qualified to be a Corvette Curmudgeon. He was just a Chrysler Curmudgeon. So it was black with a gray interior. It had aftermarket wheels, this giant rear wing and front splitter. And I mean, like, this rear wing was huge. It looked like it came off of an 80s race car. But the description is the best. Quote unquote, too clean to be bucked up with a B. I don't know what that means. One of 3 in the USA, this Viper has the best titles out of all. Very rare, only 2 owner. Cash talks best. You don't like it? Move on. This car is way too historical and rare. I had so many questions. So I ran the VIN because I'm thinking, like, the best titles, like it has a salvage title or like what? And like that was clean.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot about this. So it's a 94 Viper with 17,000 miles. He's asking $100,000.
Which is a staggering amount of money.
Right. So 1 of 3 in the USA. I'm not sure what he's talking about. There's thousands of Vipers, and like black over gray is not rare combination by any stretch of the imagination. It's rare-ish, but I mean, I was thinking maybe like 1 of 3, like there's 3 that comes for the price of 100,000 because that's the only way this would be worth it. But the Viper has the best titles out of all? What?
That is bizarre. And the main photos are of somebody cleaning this car as well.
Yeah, it's like a mobile detailer.
Yeah.
The hood's open, the door's open. This detailer's like washing the glass in every single picture. The guy wants at least twice what it's worth, and he's just snapping photos while somebody else is detailing it.
Bo Peep says, "Isn't that just a V10 Miata? Sounds very expensive."
No, a Miata handles better and is built better and has better air conditioning and rides better.
Well,
Miata might just be
Bailey Walton says he said Viper, Corvette, same thing. Thanks,
Yeah. Well, and if it's so historical and rare and he doesn't want it to be bucked up, why did he put the spoilers and the wheels and crap on it already? It had like an aftermarket nav screen and stuff. I don't know what the guy was thinking. It's kind of well, it's not local. It's 3 hours away. It was in Ohio. I wanted to go look at it and just be like, what in the world? Anyway, let's let's go to some questions.
We actually got another super chat here from YouTube. Thank you, Philip Moss, for hanging out with us tonight and showing your support. A completely unrelated question. Philip wants to know what your favorite whiskey is.
How is that related to cars?
We consume it while the podcast is happening.
Or we could say, well, PSA, don't drink and drive.
Or
there,
that,
it's related to what whiskey do you drink after you're home and not driving? What whiskey is my favorite? I prefer Scotch. Honestly, it's smoother, and whiskey, like the more expensive you get, it just gets stronger, not better and smoother. So, Redbreast is pretty good.
And that's an Irish whiskey.
Yeah, you're right. That is an
Redbreast
Irish
is
whiskey.
real good,
That's
though.
super good. Lagavulin 18 is probably my favorite go-to Scotch. So, yeah, that would be my favorite whiskey. Thank you.
Nice.
Good question. Or is it 16? I can never
It's
remember
16.
16 or 18. 16. Thank you very much.
TikTok is just there's a plethora of questions here tonight. So we appreciate every one of you. Please know that all of your questions are in a queue here. Please know that.
It may be weeks until we get to them,
They
but
are
we'll
all,
try.
They're all queued.
Yes,
I swear,
there's
I
so
promise.
many that the
Yes.
ones that have the biggest tips will go to the top. Wink, wink.
Funny how that works. Snoopy Al Manza says, "What to do with 10K? I want to try and flip it into more with cars. What cars are profitable?"
I would put the 10K on black in Vegas and flip that and make 20K, double your money real quick, and then buy a Corvette C5. What? Cars that are profitable or whatever you are an expert at, right? So there's no that's like saying, what business should I get into to make money? You should get into a business that you know. Every type of business is profitable to the people that understand it and make it profitable. And every type of business is also a loser to the people that don't understand it. Same thing with cars. If you understand a certain niche and know their common issues and what they go for and what customers want and how to buy them for less than they're worth, then you can make anything profitable. I think usually when people ask this question, they're asking like, oh, what car is just going to magically go up in value that I can buy that's like some hot tip trade secret, versus the principle that you make your money on the buy, right? And the last couple of years, people have been able to buy anything they want and it'll go up in value. And that's just a false narrative. That isn't repeatable. That doesn't happen under normal market conditions. So the car that's profitable is the one that you buy for less than you can sell it for. And it doesn't matter what it is.
All right, I think I got one that kind of goes along nicely with that. And Paul Carmy on YouTube was in. This was before the stream started.
Oh.
So Paul was like waiting in line.
All right.
Doug, do you think the impending economic crash will finally make cars affordable again?
I don't think there is an impending economic crash. There's too much cash out there. The fundamentals of the economy are stronger than what they were in 2007. We don't have credit default swaps and people packaging up loans that are bad and making them good. I think there's some really big weak spots in the economy. Consumer debt is at an all-time high. Automotive debt is at an all-time high. Automotive payments are at an all-time high. You know, I think we're going to have cracks in the system for sure, but I don't think there's going to be any big crash. I think we'll see some corrections here and there, but you know, I don't know, define affordable, right? Like, if you look at the price of new cars, even relative to 20 or 30 years ago, inflation has outpaced those. So even though we've had massive inflation recently, like, new car prices aren't that expensive relative to what they were in the 90s. Same thing with gas. Same thing for a lot of stuff. So stuff's going to ebb and flow, but I don't think there's going to be any 50% off sale. I don't see 2008-9 happening again in the short term, but who knows? I'm not a real economist. I just read and observe.
You're not? Eh.
I'm not an investment advisor either, contrary to what most used car salesmen
Switchcast
think
does not
they
provide
are.
investment advice or thoughts on the economy that mean anything.
No.
It doesn't provide any thoughts that mean anything at all, but people listen anyway.
No asks, Doug, I just got a Mercury Grand Marquis. What do I do with it, oh great Mexican state?
Take your AARP card out of the glove box and go to dinner at 4 p.m. Yeah, start the new version of the Corvette Curmudgeon, but be the Mercury man, and just like wear pleated pants and orthopedic shoes, and go to dinner at 4 p.m. and complain about the price on everything.
And then just say that the Panther body was the best the car ever was.
Yes, that too. Yeah, there's 18 Facebook Panther groups, so join all of them.
I've got one here that came from switchcast.live, which for those of you that do not know, you can go to get current and past episodes, and there's blog posts. So if you have anything Switchcast related, when we're not sitting here talking to you, head on over to switchcast.live.
Yes.
So Brian Deal says, Hi, Doug. My girlfriend wants a red Mercedes convertible. Those are her only requirements. I, however, want the most reliable year and model. What do you recommend? Does not need to be fast.
That's good, because there's a lot of Mercedes convertibles that are not fast. Most of them, in fact. Twofold answer to this. The salesman in me says we have an amazing red over tan 95 Mercedes E320 with 25,000 miles that's going to be coming up for sale here on Bring a Trailer. That is just gorgeous. But honestly, it's more of a collector piece than anything. Like, it's probably going to go for like 40 to 50 grand, which to me seems crazy, but there are people that, love those. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to tell you to buy exactly what I bought my wife. First I'm going to tell you not to buy your girlfriend a car. Well, he didn't say he was buying it for her, right? He's just advising her.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, don't buy your girlfriend a car, but if she's spending the money for it, I bought my wife a 2011 E350, and the 212 chassis, SW, whatever letter you put in front of it, but the 212 chassis, in my research, is one of the best chassis that Mercedes ever made. The engine is pretty bulletproof. Everything around it, the electronics, the suspension, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't do friggin' air suspension, except they did, rear airmatic in the sedans and the and the wagons. But even then, that was far more reliable and cheaper to fix than the previous generation of the air suspension. But it's bulletproof. They don't have issues with their convertible tops. They're fun-ish to drive. They're comfortable. You can get air-conditioned seats. You can get the air scarf, which literally blows hot air around your neck, so you can have the top down on a cool day. Like, just everything they thought of. And my wife didn't really care about this, but you can get the E550 convertible. So if you're about practicality, you get the 350, nice little V6. It, goes enough. But the 550 has the bi-turbo V8. And you can tune the crap out of that thing. Like, it's not the AMG engine, but you can make it stink and go. So, if you want to do smoky burnouts in your girlfriend's convertible, no double entendres there. Just get her an E550. Yeah, that's what I would do.
I'd like to get in two quick questions here.
Yes.
From TikTok. One comes from, because he tipped, we'll hit this one first. Snoopy Almanza asks, what's your opinion on Euro spec diesel BMWs?
I wish they were US spec. I think diesel's an awesome technology. It's efficient. It might be a little bit dirty, maybe causes cancer, but that aside, really, really efficient, better than hybrids, way better than EVs. And I would own one if I could get one here. So,
All right.
yeah, torquey, smoky.
Pro-charged F-150. What's your opinion on the Isuzu Viacross?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, those are like, man, was that early 2000s or was it late 90s those came out? Okay. For the non-carish people watching, if you are, I cannot give you a visual picture of the Isuzu Viacross. You have to go look it up. It is a concept car that was like this kind of Baja, like Street Fighter, Mad Max type of vehicle in real life that like actually made it from concept car to production without losing its luster. Most concept cars get dumbed down and, changed by the accountants, and this thing looked amazing. It was like a Hot Wheels car that you never thought they'd actually make, and it still looks like a Hot Wheels car. I think they're super cool. There's actually a guy around here that hoards them. I ran into him at the post office, and he owns like 30 of them. And 25 are parts cars because nobody can get parts because they're like such a one-off weird thing that like, yeah, you have to just buy parts off of another one. So
I got to be honest. I had never seen the Viacross concept before, and I just looked it up. The production one is not that different.
Right?
It is impressive.
Right?
Really?
It's such a neat thing.
That's cool.
I mean, it's also terrible on it's an Isuzu, but other than the terrible part of it, it's awesome. I would love to own one as a nostalgic kind of, kitschy little thing, but I'd rock one. Yeah.
They're sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, does your post
I
office
asked
buddy
him about it, and he didn't. No, he was only buying them.
Oh, Pro-charged F-150 actually has one, and he loves it.
Yeah.
A lot. So,
Yeah.
There you go.
Figured we want to take time to let you know that Switchcast is brought to you by Boxcast. Boxcast is a live streaming company based in Cleveland, Ohio, and they serve broadcasters and viewers around the world. Their founders launched Boxcast back in 2013 with one purpose, and that is to make people a part of the experience. If you're looking to live stream your podcast, church service, car show, sporting event, wedding, or even your Cannonball attempt, Boxcast is an easy and flexible live streaming platform for organizations. Boxcast is so easy that we're broadcasting this show with a phone. So head on over to switchcars.com/Boxcast for your free trial.
And that brings us to the Shrewd Negotiator, which is, of course, brought to you by VinWiki, who I think invented the term. I don't know if it was Ed or somebody just on the show, but it's just become ubiquitous and associated with VinWiki. So this week, this was a story from a car salesperson who relayed that somebody came in with a trade-in. It was some sort of Mercedes, and the guy was $45,000 upside down on his trade. For the non-car dealer people, that means that he owed $45,000 more than it was worth. Yeah. Ow. Yeah. And he wanted to trade it in for 2015 Bentley GT with 67,000 miles. And somehow they got the deal done. So they rolled $45,000 in negative equity and sold him aftermarket products, warranties, all that crap, and sold him the Bentley for $91,000. Now, for those of you not paying attention, 2015 Bentley Continental GT with 67,000 miles, which right off the bat, high mileage Bentleys, I will tell you, are friggin' impossible to sell. There's a reason I don't stock high mileage, like baller cars, because they attract the buyers I don't want. It's the ones that finance at 25% interest, and, unless you have subprime banks, you ain't getting it done. So, but I recently sold a 2013 Bentley GT with similar miles, and this was like a perfect example, for $70,000 retail. So they sold them, and the 13s and 15s are no different. It's not like some redesign or anything like that. So wholesale is probably 60 on that car right now. So they sold him a $60,000 wholesale car for 91 grand and absorbed 45 grand in negative equity and sold him gap and warranties and yada, yada, yada. So basically, one, the dealer didn't do him any favors. Two, this guy is terrible at negotiating. Three, he went from being 45 grand upside down to like 70 grand upside down on his trade. So he's 70 grand upside down on a car that's worth 70 grand.
Oh.
Figure that one out.
Poor guy.
Figure that one out. But he bought Gap, which Gap coverage, if you go wreck your car, means that they will pay out, they will cover the difference between like the book value on your car and what you owe. So if he owes 140 on a 70K car, they'll cover the extra 70K.
Maybe he's actually a genius.
Right? I'm like, let me set up a VIN alert on Copart for this car.
Seriously.
Because I'm pretty sure it's getting driven off a cliff tomorrow. The value already went off a cliff. He's just following.
Yeah, there you go.
Some people just cannot be helped into good decisions. It's just, whew. And there's, for every person like that, there's a dealer ready
Just
to take their,
just rubbing their hands
take
together.
their bank's money. Oh, man.
Wow.
All right. Let's go back to questions. But before we do that, let's go to the question of the week.
Yes, and the question of the week is brought to you by Nuts for Sticks. Nuts for Sticks is a brand celebrating the manual transmission in all of its forms. Forget flappy paddles, we like shifting ourselves. Check out our funny stick-themed shirts at nutsforsticks.com and save 10% on your order using discount code SWITCHCAST. That is nutsforsticks.com and use code SWITCHCAST. And the question of the week is from Dave Lanning. What 8-seater is best 8-seater?
Oh, so I had to default to our friend Katie the Car Lady for this one. She was a guest on our show earlier this season, and you can look her up on the social medias and stuff. Just look for Katie the Car Lady. She's an automotive consultant for all the stuff I don't really do, the pedestrian cars. I don't know anything about cars that have more than 2 doors. But, I mean, if I was answering the question, I'd buy a 2-seater and get like a trailer for all my kids. So
Just bolt a bunch of patio chairs to it.
Right.
It'll be fine.
You talked about doing that with an S2000 once, I remember.
Yes. So it's not entirely true. I do own an 8-seater. I own a early 7.3 diesel Excursion, and that's what I would tell him to buy. But most people who aren't car people can't appreciate those things. They're like, well, it's diesel, it's loud, and it's noisy, and, yada, yada, yada. They want Apple CarPlay. So Katie had some great answers for Dave. She said, one, you can't get a new minivan right now, at least Honda and Toyota, because of their supply chain constraints. So her favorites are the Kia Telluride and Hyundai Palisade. They both have good warranties, good tech, good styling, and they're affordable. She says you can drive in style, luxury feeling for under 50 grand, and none of the others get that close. She said, no Jeeps, terrible ratings and overpriced. I agree with her there. I've read some of the stuff about how many recalls and stuff the new big Jeeps are having, the Wagoneers and Commanders and all that. Man, it's scary. Like, yeah, not great. She wasn't a fan of the pricing on the Tahoe or the Yukon either. That's probably what I get because I like big SUVs. But she did say if you were going to go that way, that the Tahoe and Yukon are better than a Ford. They hold their value better and they make a better truck engine, which I agree. It's an LS engine, right? High mileage on them, et cetera, et cetera. I think I've had 3 vehicles that have had engine failures, and they've all been Fords. So.
Womp womp.
I would agree. And she said used Toyota minivans are just stupid overpriced. So that's her recommendation is a Kia or a Hyundai. I can't agree or disagree because I don't care. I'd buy 2 station wagons. My wife could drive one. I'd drive the other one.
Perfect.
Yes. All right.
I
well,
do,
on that note, let's go to some more live questions.
We've got 2 super chats from YouTube over
All
here.
right.
We are really firing up the super chat machine over here
same
on
thing
YouTube.
over here on TikTok.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Do you want to alternate then, Ethan? Or do you want me to just roll with it?
You can blast out the 2.
Get
All
your
right.
stuff together, guys.
Sorry. We know what we're doing. So Mo on YouTube. Hi, Doug. Was the Diablo SV everything you imagined? Any disappointments?
I don't actually own a Diablo SV. I own a VT, but it is pretty awesome. It's very not utilitarian, Spartan interior, which is to be expected. I mean, you get in any 90s supercar, and they're really, really terrible interiors. So that would be a complaint I have with that. But as far as like the driving, the engine sound, the visceral feeling, they're awesome. And I love the SV because it's lighter and it's rear-wheel drive compared to the other variants. So it's more of a driver's car than a VT. So yeah, no, I love them. Awesome. I think they're seriously undervalued compared to what else you get. Like you look at all the other 90s supercars, and they're pretty much without exception, they're 7 figures, except the XJ220, which there's a reason it's not, because you can't get parts for it. You have to ship it to England to get serviced, and it's still that the curse of the V6, right? Like followed that car, because originally it was supposed to be a V12. They put a V6 in it instead, and even though it was faster, everybody sued and got their deposits back and all that crap. And I think that like stigma has followed the XJ220 to this day. So
It at least always comes up whenever you talk about it. Like,
Right.
well, there's got to have been a V12.
right, and the Diablo is usable. You can get in that car and drive it every day. It's somewhat reliable as far as an Italian V12 supercar goes. And like, what other supercar of that era can you use? Bugatti EB110? No.
Unlikely.
Vector M12? No. Jaguar
was,
XJ220? No.
I was impressed at how comfortable it is. We went to that show last year that was like an hour or so away, and it's just comfortable. Like, it's not luxurious, but it's not a bad place to spend a little bit of time.
Heck yeah.
All right, next up is Jeremiah Johnson. Thank you as well for supporting us here tonight. He wants to ask, what is your preference for brake pad material if exotic brakes aren't an option, such as carbon ceramic? This is some technical car nerdy stuff.
Very technical. I mean, you can still get ceramic pads. Like, they make pads with ceramic material in them. I like a harder pad because I want some feel to it. I don't want it soft and squishy, but I don't like,
I was just going to let you go.
Oh, sorry for those of you that couldn't hear the off mic comment. That was great. We had a Michael Scott in there. You get too hard, and
This guy,
you
man.
just get squeaking, right? You hit the brakes, and it just makes all sorts of noise. So it depends on the application. I like a reasonably hard pad, and frick, I mean, I'm not up on like all the different materials they put in them, but some of the newer ceramic pads are actually pretty dust free, even if you have steel rotors. So, yeah, the hardest pad you can get that's dust free and squeak free, and
I need to get some of those for my Porsches because they're dusty. Like nobody. It's like Dust Bowl every time I drive. It's crazy.
All right, Ethan, what do we got over the tip talk?
It's just a whole lot here. Snoopy Almanza once again tipped us and asks, have you ever seen a mini Bronco? Then he also wants to know your opinion on a 2023 Suzuki Jimny.
Right, a mini Bronco, like a Bronco Sport,
I'm not entirely
like
sure.
the new one, or like an Austin Cooper mini Bronco,
We can
or
ask
like
him for clarification.
a go-kart Bronco.
Maybe not that, but he asked for a mini Bronco.
Yeah, I've seen minis, I've seen Broncos, I've seen the Bronco Sport. I think the Bronco Sport is kind of, I mean, it's a Ford Escape. Like, come on, I think it's kind of silly. I like the full-size Broncos. They're a real Bronco. So if that's what you're asking, I'm not a huge fan from like a, enthusiast perspective. I'm sure it's a great little SUV for people that just want transportation. Definitely better than the Jeep Commander. Not Commander. What's the little Jeeps that aren't Jeeps at all? They're like a Chrysler 300 with a Jeep body. Like the Icon or
like the Patriot.
Yes, the Patriot. There's another one with a different name that I can't even tell apart. So I'd take a Bronco Sport over one of those. But
we've actually got a little bit of clarification here.
Okay.
People are speculating in the comments. They're kind of interpreting that question, and they think maybe that the user was referring to the Jimmy as a mini Bronco.
Oh, like the old school one, because
yeah. So I'm not entirely sure. I can't speak.
But
to
that's
what
the
exactly
GMC, and it's Ford. Bronco's a Ford, so that a Jimmy would be a mini Blazer.
Right. That's why I'm not entirely sure what's meant here. But he specifically wanted to know your thoughts on the 2023 Jimmy there.
Yeah. I don't like new Chevy pickup trucks that are made in the last like 6 years from an aesthetic perspective. I think they got just really like big, square, and when Ford was making them smoother and sleeker, General Motors is like, let's put lots of parallelograms and rectangles and stuff like that and just not be cohesive with the styling. So I appreciate the throwback. It's probably not, I'm not going to say probably, it's not something I would buy, but I don't need it anyway. It doesn't fit into my wheelhouse. I think they'll sell it, I'm sure, but I would rather have a Bronco, or just like if I'm buying a truck, I'm not buying a novelty truck. I'm buying one that does truck stuff and is a truck. So
not a fan of the Jimny then.
It's cool, but it I don't know. Doesn't make sense. The old Jimmy was practical. It fit in a niche. It was like it was a mid-size SUV in a world that hadn't really adopted mid-size SUVs in a ubiquitous sense yet, right? They hadn't become commonplace. So I think it was good for GMC back then, and they made some like cool ones, like the not the LTZ, that's the limited one, but they had the bigger wheels and the 90s graphics and stuff, and they looked cool, but those were the exception. It was just a practical vehicle, and I think now it's more of a nostalgic profit center.
Even the 2023?
Yeah, the new one. Well, yeah, because they haven't made it since like late 90s was the last one. So they're bringing the name back to capitalize on it, I think. So
got another super chat here on YouTube. We're rolling them in them tonight. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Elon Musk is Suspicious43, a longtime member of chat. Love to see this name. They want to know, how common are rattles and annoying interior noises on a 997 RS? I love the car, but I don't know what's normal and what's not. Only driven this one.
You can't hear them because of the exhaust. The most annoying rattle, honestly, is the clutch. So when the clutch is engaged, disengaged, I can never remember which is which, because it's the opposite of pedal versus whatever. So when your clutch pedal is out, so your clutch is engaged, you just hear it's like a bag of friggin' marbles behind you. So your only option at a stoplight is to sit with a really heavy clutch pushed in, or listen to that. It goes away once you get into the revs, but that's only because the engine is super loud, which is actually an awesome noise. So yeah, it's great. The only actual interior rattles I've heard, I mean, let's be honest, it's a German car. The fit and finish, the build quality is fantastic. There really aren't squeaks and rattles. If you install an aftermarket roll bar, those are prone to squeaking and rattling, especially the OEM ones, because they actually bolt together. So every bolt point is a potential flex movement point. So those squeak annoyingly. And if you put like solid bushings and stuff like that, sometimes you can get suspension creaks. But out of the box, as they come, very tight car, nothing annoying other than that lightweight flywheel just...
Switchcast ASMR, everybody.
the worst ASMR of all time.
What does ASMR stand for the old guy in here?
I don't remember what
what
it stands for, but it's essentially some auditory stimulation. So it's like, I'm not even going to try to explain it because somebody on YouTube or TikTok.
Can you give us an example? Then?
I cannot, actually. Not going to happen.
Oh, man. There's a good question from follow-up from a couple weeks ago. Or no, I'm sorry. This came through Instagram. A guy said you should do an episode comparing lemons to Cannonball. And I thought about it. And I said, nope, because we can cover that in about 2 minutes. It does not require its own episode. It is a good question, if you can call it that. But one, very simply, anyone that's done Le Mans, did I say lemons to Cannonball?
You did.
I'm sorry. Le Mans, the actual 24-hour Le Mans, not lemons. There is no comparison for lemons. But comparing Le Mans to Cannonball, anyone that's done Le Mans could do Cannonball, but very few people who have done Cannonball could do Le Mans. So let's just get that out of the way. Real racing is a different and higher skill set than Cannonball. From a public perspective, though, Cannonball has a universal appeal that Le Mans and all other racing doesn't. I mean, people love race car drivers, and the top F1 drivers are massive worldwide celebrities. But outside of racing circles, outside of automotive circles, most people don't even know what Le Mans is. But everybody knows what Cannonball is. I think it's partly because the barrier to entry is lower. In theory, anybody could go do a Cannonball. Whereas Le Mans, if I could just book a flight and rent a car and run Le Mans, that would be awesome. But you can't, and that's what makes it awesome. You have to be a real racing driver and or fantastically rich, right? So in theory, I could do an arrive and drive at Le Mans after I got certified and all that crap for a couple $100,000. And I might not even get to drive, because if I'm the second driver and the first guy wrecks it, I spent a couple $100,000 to do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the thought that anybody could go out and do a Cannonball, even though nobody does, makes it more accessible and more interesting to more people. And also, I think the reason that any real racing driver is enamored with Cannonball is probably because of the dubious legality of it and the risk, right? So they take some amount of risk getting into a race car, but they look at Cannonballs like, holy crap, I could never do that. The bad publicity I get if I get arrested, et cetera, et cetera. You have to be an outlaw to do Cannonball, whereas real racing is drowning, is shrouded in rules and technicalities, right? And in Cannonball, there's no yellow flags, there's no restarts, there's no tech inspections, there's no weather delays, anything. You just have to go and do it. And so, I think that makes it a little more, it adds to the lore of what Cannonball is and makes it more interesting for the average person. But also there isn't a Cannonball on the TV every single weekend, right? It's really only a small, weird group of people that do it, whereas there's millions and millions being spent weekly by amateurs and pros alike going out racing all over the world. I mean, they're both the spirit of competition. People want to go out and win. They want to accomplish something. So in that, I think they're similar, but there's not a whole lot of similarity outside that.
All right, I got one here that I think is good. Ren at ITP, this was a previous question. I do want to say, I think Ethan has said it a couple of times, we've been absolutely inundated with questions tonight, which is super awesome. We will try to get to them. We will keep track of them. So, stay tuned. Tune in the future. So Ren at ITP says, Doug, cross-shopping a 4.3 Vantage and a 996 Turbo Cab. What would you take and why?
Ah, yes. Code words. For people who don't know what we're talking about, that would be like a 2006 to 2008 Aston Martin V8 Vantage or a 2001 to 2005 Porsche 911 Turbo. I would take the Vantage all day, every day. I'm going to say it. I'm going to piss everybody off here. I think 996 turbos are ugly. They messed up the front bumper somehow. The GT2 they fixed. But
Also, it doesn't have a top.
we'll be
Like 911s without roofs look weird, in my opinion.
Yes, that's true. But let's take cab and convertible away. Let's say he was doing coupe or cab, didn't matter. I would still take the Aston Martin Vantage. One, it's friggin' beautiful. I mean, there's very few ugly Aston Martins, except every Aston Martin produced between 1980 and 1994. But you can say that about every car produced in that era. It sounds amazing. It's really fun to drive. The interior is fantastic. They got somewhat reliable. If you're getting the Roadster, it's one of the most beautiful drop tops ever made, top down and top up. It has that waterfall feature, which is like the Corvette C5. And, man, they are awesome, awesome cars. And some people say, wow, they're slow, right? Or you got to get the 4.7. Okay, the 4.3 has 380 horsepower versus 420, and you can get a retrofitted power kit which bumps it up to 400 from Aston Martin. So it's like, if 400 horsepower isn't enough for you on the street, like as a regular daily driver, just a fun sports car, like, if you're a street racer or whatever and you want to tune your car to go 150 miles an hour on the street, fine. I just don't think that's practical. So I would buy a Vantage. I think they have enough power, great sound, great styling, just an overall awesome driving experience. A little bit more maintenance than the 996 turbo, but not a ton. That is my pick. Easy.
J-Dub 357, 2001 Corvette Z06 with 35,000 miles. What is it worth in today's market?
Good question. 01 Z06. 01 would be the 375 horsepower, whereas the later ones were 405 horsepower. So there's a little bit of a value deduct there. Low miles, so 35,000 miles. I'd say, it depends on color too. If it's like a crazy color, but probably like mid to high 20s, probably. Yeah, depends how clean it is. If it's white, then 30 grand. So, yeah. Good question. We are running out of time, and we've still got 2 quick segments to knock out. So if you're with us live, we will go into bonus round here called Tip Talk after the end of the regular segment of the show. So stick around, please, and we'll try to get to as many questions as possible during the live bonus round. But with that said, we are going to the appraiser, and what a great segment, asking what something's worth. We're going to prove to you that we have no idea how to answer that question. So the appraiser is where Tyler and I pick cars for each other that are ending on an auction. So, we don't know what they're going to go for, and we've got to guess and get as close as we can, and we're going to take a running total. And somebody suggested that the punishment for the loser...
Uh-oh.
Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
Somebody suggested that the punishment for the loser of the appraiser is that they have to buy a janky Corvette C4 and drive it wearing the Corvette Curmudgeon Winston Cigarettes hat and daily drive it for 6 months.
6 months? That is excessive.
That wouldn't be a punishment for me.
That would be awful.
Tyler would hate it. So that's Tyler's punishment. You got to come up with a different one for me. Anyway, all right. So last week for Tyler, I picked a 2005 Atlas Gray over Natural Brown 996 GT3 with 20,000 miles. Very, very nice car. Did you see what it went for?
I did not. I
Okay.
kept it out.
So he guessed $155,000. It sold for $137,000.
That honestly, I'm a little surprised.
Yes. So you missed by 18 grand, which is 13%. So you improved a 0.5%.
Yeah,
over
still
last
not going
week.
down. Keep the trend going.
Yes, but you've overbid on every single one. So
Good thing I'm not a car dealer.
right. You've missed high on all of them by a lot. You would be out 18, 14. I can't do ad. $37,000 so
I can't
far.
do ad.
I can't do
I can't do ad. All
That's
right.
why I'm here, Doug. I read those.
What'd you pick for me, and how badly was I off?
All right, so for you, Doug, I picked a 94 Mercedes-Benz E500 Limited. For those that don't know, the Limited was a special run of at the end where they did special interiors pretty much. So this one was black, like a black metallic, and it had a blue, like a dark bluish purple and black, like distressed interior color thing. Really cool. So you had guessed what, 60,000?
60,000.
It went for 87,000.
All right, that's my biggest miss so far.
Which is really putting things back in my direction, I think. Maybe not entirely, but
that's bad. All right. What car did you pick for me next week?
I think this is cool, and I think it's just weird enough that it might be a challenge for you.
All right.
So I picked a twin-turboed 99 Dodge Viper GTS ACR Hennessy Venom 650R.
Does it have the full aero package, like the different front bumper and the wing and everything?
Yep.
Okay.
Whole shebang.
99 ACR twin-turbo Viper GTS. Color?
Silver?
Stripes?
No.
Clean Carfax?
Yes.
Surprising. Amazing, actually. It's a miracle. Miles?
11,000. It's got like a black and light gray interior.
Okay. What platform? What auction platform?
Bring a trailer. For those of you listening or watching, you should go check this out. It is somehow wild, and I think also somewhat tasteful at the same time for being late 90s.
Oh, I missed by 31%.
Yeah.
I'm still smoking you.
Now, okay. Well,
Anyway.
hey, where's the season is still young.
Yeah, give him his moment.
No, let's say this. I bid what it was worth, so I made 31% profit.
I've just paid for lots of smiles per mile.
Okay, 99 GTS ACR, 11,000 miles, silver, 600 horsepower Hennessy Venom package with the aero. I'm not sure. It remains to be seen if this adds value. I actually looked at a yellow one of these, and I think I bid it right at a stock Viper price. 11,000 miles. I'm going to do... Vipers are up right now, though. They're a little bit crazy. So I'm going to say... I'm going to go one... I'm going to say 111. 111,000. 11,000 miles. GTS. It's an ACR. Yeah, I might change before the end of the night, but that's my thought. So yours is, I picked a green one because you like green cars.
Love it.
92 911 Turbo, so 964. It is not a 965 in Amazon green over cashmere. 71,000 miles, good service history, certificate of authenticity. It's for sale by 911R on BAT, so you know the photos are good. The front bonnet and driver's door have been repainted, but otherwise clean Carfax. And it has the legit Speedline wheels that were only available on the 94 3.6 turbo.
Is it hot in here, guys, or is this just me?
So again, 92 964 turbo, Amazon green, 71,000 miles, Speedlines, good service history.
This is actually not going to be good for me because I don't follow their values too much.
You should, because this is like the perfect car for you, all things considered.
Yeah, like if I want, it's
Yes.
This is so good.
Let's see what you got.
I am gonna say, oh goodness, what are these even worth?
Good start.
165.
All right.
I can't read that.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
What did I say on the Viper? 115?
You said 111. We got the peanut gallery telling me that's strong. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
strong because I am over here with such a good guess or.
You are a physically strong man.
Yeah, you
I
said
think
111.
I'm going to go 115 on the Viper.
115.
115 on the Viper. Yes. Okay.
I'm nervous.
No, 120. I'm going 120. Vipers are crazy. It's a Hennessy Venom. It's an ACR. Good history.
I'm
I
hoping
think
you
it'll go
pull a me
120.
this week. And this
Maybe.
goes for like 90.
Okay. All right. Well, on that, to make myself feel better, there was a 441,000-mile Shelby. Sorry, 441-mile Shelby Series 1, one of two in white that was on Bring a Trailer. Do you know what the Shelby Series 1 is?
I do.
Yeah, okay. So I guessed the number before I opened the email, and I hit it dead on.
Did you?
On. What do you think it was? I had like 3 seconds. And I
got to
it.
be honest, no clue what
Just
those
pick
are
a number.
105.
No, 180. But I felt good because I just nailed it. I said 180, open the email, 180. Anyway, time for the props and flops. Again, this will end the regular portion of our show. If you're live with us on TikTok or YouTube, stick around for the bonus round of live questions afterwards.
The Props and Flops is brought to you by Switchcars. Switchcars is the enthusiasts dealership where we buy, sell, consign, service, and store only cars that we like ourselves. Check out our handpicked inventory at switchcars.com. And our pick of the week from Switchcars inventory is...
All right. DeMarcus, Devin, what's your name over there? Yeah. Pick this one. It's a 94 Nissan 300 ZX twin turbo 5-speed manual. It's black on black. It has some period correct Fast and Furious style appearance mods like, polished stainless steel intake runners and stuff like that. Still in wheels, painted calipers. It looks faster. Anyway, it's super low mileage, very original otherwise, and I just really like the styling of those. So that's our pick of the week. If you're interested, hit up switchcars.com for your Switchcast $1,000 discount off of the price that they haven't picked yet. So, totally arbitrary. Flop of the week comes to us via Jay Roberts, the Gonzo Prius nonstop Cannonball record holder. He didn't flop, but his story is great, as they usually are. He recently got back from Scotland, and he was unable to rent a Turo there. This had nothing to do with the mythical Cannonballer rental blacklist, but simply because he was an American. The owners there are convinced that Americans don't know how to drive on the left side of the road. Honestly, I think they're being a little bit political there because I'm pretty sure everyone in Europe thinks that Americans don't know how to drive, period. And I would generally agree with that.
Yep. Also true.
The prop of the week. BMW has a new M5 Estate coming out to compete with the likes of the Audi RS6 Avant. And they pretty much said without saying that it will be coming to the U.S.
Oh.
It has a 4.4-liter V8, albeit with an electric motor also attached, which means gobs of horsepower and torque. But it's all-wheel drive, which I don't like, and I can bet my nuts that there won't be sticks in the wagon. So it's going to be all friggin' automatic.
Could you get the sedan in a manual still? Or is that only
I don't
the
think
M3?
so. No.
Okay.
No, I
Just
think the
M3.
last two generations M5 were all automatics. So could be wrong. I'm wrong often. Well, that concludes our regular portion of the show. Thank you to both Ethan and Tyler for getting us through this. Thank you for all of the viewers and the questions. They were lively tonight. Reminder, next week we are going to cover shipping and all that goes into that. So load your questions up, get them in early. Thank you to our sponsors, Boxcast, Nuts for Sticks, Switchcars, Celebrity Machines, Parallel Printworks, and Stephen Holm Woodworking. Our bumper music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. This episode will be available next Monday in audio format wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week at 8 p.m. as we look forward to edifying, educating, and entertaining you on the drive of your life. Glad we got that applause track loaded up.
Yeah,
seriously.
Good job, Ethan.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
if you're still with us, some live questions, and maybe we'll cover a few of the old ones as well if we have time. But yeah, we're limited to about 20 minutes, so get them in with extra bonus star tips, whatever they're called. And yeah, what do we got?
20 minutes on the clock here.
We should get a stopwatch.
Are there any super chat last minute? I don't see any from YouTube. It looks like Elon Musk had the last one there.
That is correct.
Let's real quick hop over to the Ruckus 8 on TikTok. 325 Auto E30 for my teen's first car. I'm very familiar.
I thought that was his username. I'm like, that's a heck of a long username.
That'd be crazy, right?
It was the way you read it. All right, automatic E30
for his
BMW
teen's
325.
first car. Yep.
I agree with everything except the automatic. I think you should teach your teen how to drive stick. And yeah, but 325 E30, fantastic car, fairly simple, reliable, and yeah, good car.
We do have a
Cheap-ish.
we do have a tipper in here.
Let's go.
Tip talk. David FIL, would you buy a new Demon?
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't have any interest in going to street takeovers or having it stolen. That's not usually my idea of enjoying a vehicle. But I also don't want to park it and wait for it to be worth more money, which seems like most people buying Demons are doing, other than the ones doing street takeovers. I don't know. It's not my thing. I really like the look of the wide body Challengers. But other than that, I don't have a use for it. I don't know. I like lighter cars. It's very heavy. I like lighter cars that are more engaging to drive. So, I mean, it's a lot of horsepower. It's great in straight lines and kind of cool looking, but not my thing.
I'm already nervous. So we got Vampire Bear 13 on YouTube guessing 235,000 on that 964. That's a they're bringing
I
big
think he's
money.
high. It's not a 3.6 turbo.
That
and
was
it's
the
not
reason
super
why
low
I
mileage.
kicked it down a bit. Was it wasn't
it's
a 3.6.
still a 3.3 turbo. I think you might be a little low, but I think it takes a real special 3.3 to cross 200 grand.
For sure. Well, we'll have to see what happens next week. Anthony Russo in chat tonight asked, I think this is a fun question. You're originally from Maine, so what's a typical Mainer's hot rod?
A Pontiac Grand Am with a steering wheel cover and seat covers and a lot of chrome under the hood. And probably some fancy hubcaps.
Is there a lot of chrome on the outside too, like just trim everywhere?
The trim strips, not so much. But you get at least when I was growing up, a lot of people up there like doing, the lightning strips that hang down below your bumper, the grounding strips,
Yeah.
but they usually have lightning bolts on them. That's, maybe a chrome exhaust tip too.
Oh,
Yes.
fancy.
Dude Man 314. I think if we watch VinWiki, we're gonna know what the answer to this is. What do you think of a Ford Crown Vic Police Interceptor as a first car?
The answer is found on
I was gonna say,
VinWiki.
there's a video for that.
Yes. Justin Martin, have you seen the videos of people setting electric Cannonball records with EVs?
How else would you set an electric Cannonball record?
Yeah. Right.
No, I mean, I know some of the guys that do it. Kyle, I think it's Kyle Reynolds. There's two Kyles that I always get confused, but we were actually attempting to have him on the podcast and schedules didn't work out, but I think it'll happen at some time in the future. It's different. It's the same and different, right? So the original transcontinental records back in the early 1900s were done to prove the viability of the automobile. And I think the EV transcontinental records, Cannonball records, whatever you want to call them, are along the same vein because they're not going for outright speed. They're going for the slowest, the least amount of charging time, the fastest charging time, cumulative, using a public charging network. So they're trying to prove the viability of EVs. So as the EV time gets lower, they're going, oh, this marks the progress of EVs. This shows their usability. So I think it's interesting in that it's a throwback to the original progress of the automotive industry. I don't think I would ever do one just because I don't have the patience for that kind of delay. It's certainly a very interesting logistical challenge that normal cannonballers don't have to contend with. So again, it's interesting, but I don't think EVs will ever hold the outright record. I really don't, unless they haul a diesel generator.
Marmalade Pimp asks, what are your thoughts on E36 M3s?
Is he a citrus slinger?
I can't speak to that, but I know that he asked this earlier, and he just asked it again. E36 M3s.
Sorry, what's my opinion on them?
Yeah.
Out of the box, I keep wanting to like them, and there's something about either like kind of the looseness of the drivetrain or something like that, or how the engine revs that I don't super love. However, the guys at work here have a really nicely prepped one that kind of fixed everything I didn't like. They made the suspension tighter. They made the shifting tighter. It made it a really, really enjoyable car to drive. So a stock one, I don't love. I recognize that people do love them. They like how the inline six revs, how it sounds, et cetera, et cetera. There's some people that think it is absolutely the greatest car on the planet. I don't think it's that, but I think it's a good car for the money. But I would modify it instantly. Like I couldn't own a stock one, but a nicely modded one is a very, very nice driver's car.
All right. Interesting question from Arnie Asada on YouTube. Is buying a new car through Costco as the broker any good? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think they're just kind of like Cars Direct. There's different places that have like fleet agreements or fixed pricing with dealerships because of their volume. But I don't think you're going to get any better deal than you are going to get just walking into a car dealership, especially now. Like there's no magic. There's no secrets in the car business, right? There's no magic holdback or code word that you can use with a car salesman to get that. Like if you're buying 50 cars, then you can definitely potentially get a fleet discount, but nobody's buying 50 cars. So, except actual fleets. So I don't know. I wouldn't use it. I just do my own research and go and buy the car I wanted and negotiate a fair deal based on what I felt market value was. But I don't think there's any secret or any big advantage to be gained other than maybe you avoid the negotiations. I would rather use somebody like Katie, the car lady, who actually knows what she's doing, establishes a personal relationship with you, figures out your needs, and has real relationships with dealers to the point that she has leverage. You know, like the car business is all about relationships, and that's where the leverage comes in. And so that's the way I would go.
Makes sense.
Isaac Brown just wrecked my W211 E55. I need another daily. What would you recommend?
Probably a car with less horsepower. Sounds like you can't handle it. Or maybe better rear tires. I don't know. All-wheel drive. I mean, I'd get another one of those, to be honest. I love E55s. So if you like it and you miss it, get another one. If you wrecked it because you can't handle the rear-wheel drive, then, I don't know, get an E63 with all-wheel drive. So they're a little bit more manageable. But, yeah.
Garrett Parker, what's your favorite generation of 911?
993 or 997. Yes. Those are the two best looking. I think the best cars they made came in those eras. So the 993 Carrera RS 3.8 and the 997 GT3 RS 3.6 and 3.8 and 4.0 and the 997 GT2 RS and just the base 997 for that matter. Yeah. They both, like the 993 has the 3.6 liter Metzger engine in all of them. So, and it's just, I think it's the best looking air cooled car, period. And you can get a wide body rear wheel drive standard S, like every other generation for the most part. You have to get a turbo or GT car or something to get a wide body rear wheel drive car, except the 997. You can get a GTS in rear wheel drive and wide body. So there you go. Have it. Yep. 997, 993. Best. Don't ask me to pick which one.
This might be a quick one for you. 6.0 Power Stroke. Hear me out. Skull face.
Butt head studs.
Cannonball, a heavily modified Ram 2500 diesel, a 6.7.
I don't know when they made the 6.7s. Is that like a newer Eco Diesel or an older Cummins? Somebody did Cannonball an Eco Diesel a couple years ago. I think it was on election day, and they went very, very, very fast. So they proved that was a great choice. Yeah. Sub 30 hours in a pickup truck. Allegedly.
Bananas.
Claimed.
Nick Kruger asks, if you were to buy a car new from a now defunct manufacturer, what would it be?
A Spiker.
Oh, yeah, that's a good choice. They assumed you were going to pick Saab.
No,
But-
I would buy a D Tomaso piece. Well, I'd pick a D Tomaso P72.
They're not
They
defunct
never
yet.
actually got them out. Well, they never actually got one to the streets either. No. Well, is Bugatti defunct? Because
No, they're still making the Chiron and whatever special version of
They
that.
went defunct and then came back. All right. No, I'd buy a Duesenberg. That's what I would
Interesting.
buy. Buy a Duesenberg SJ. No, I'd buy a Delahaye. Let's go. French. French. Nope. That was the height of FU money, was the French cars back in the day.
Yeah.
I would buy a Delahaye Speedster, brand new.
There was the one at Audrain
be
last
Gatsby.
year that you just like stared at for a good while.
There's an
It
even
was
better
gorgeous.
looking one. That one needed
Yeah, it needed
that
a nose job.
Michael Jackson surgery. But what? There's the perfect one at the Revs Institute. It's perfect.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I'd buy a Delahaye.
Bo Peep is a 65 Caddy Crew Cal for $2,500, a wise choice. If yes, I'll buy it. If no, I'm still gonna buy it.
Cool. My answer doesn't matter then.
There you go.
I'll say yes because I'm an enabler. Also because I have no idea what he's talking about. A Caddy Crew Cal.
He said, let me make sure that copy and pasted correctly over. He said 65 cat. Nope, it didn't. Is a 65 Caddy Crew Cab for $2,500, a wise choice. Caddy Crew Cab. I don't know if that clears it up for you.
Not really, because when I hear crew cab, I think of a pickup truck. So, yeah.
He says it's a 4-door.
Okay. I mean, a 65 Cadillac in any variant is a pretty car.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds
yeah.
like his mind is made up. Sounds like your mind's made up. So I think you got your answer there.
Cool.
This is a quick one, and this actually kind of goes in line with the car we recently had. Sparta asks, what's your thoughts on JDM?
Oh, that's a very broad question. Like JDM cars in the U.S. or the fact that they didn't give us the good cars? Right-hand drive cars driving in the U.S. Driving a right-hand drive car is certainly awkward, but there's a lot of really, really neat cars that they made that we can't get that is annoying, but it's great. All the Skylines. The Subaru Lavorg. That's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
I'm a green Porsche guy, but you stick a midnight purple R33 GTR in front of me, and I am just as happy.
Yep. No, JDM cars are awesome. But I would never take a JDM version of a car that we got here because it's right-hand drive versus left-hand drive. Honda NSXR, probably the best JDM car ever. Yes.
Yeah.
But right-hand drive.
Jeremiah Johnson says, why haven't you purchased a Caprice PPV given your history with the Crown Vic?
I've come close a number of times, but never, it never made sense. Like the Crown Vic was a fun novelty back in the day, but I have more fun, different novelties now, and I'm not quite as juvenile as I once was, so the type of fun I had would be more difficult to enjoy now.
With responsibilities?
Something about driving a car around that looks like a cop car now and like not thinking about how much of a douche that makes me. Like trying to be I shouldn't say that. Arnie has a Tahoe PPV. Arnie is the farthest thing from one of those ever. But like the way I did it in high school was to like try to get away with stuff and just be an idiot. And I couldn't do that now. They're really, really cool. Yeah, Arnie has an awesome one, supercharged, fully built. I think he actually sold it, but he had an awesome one. I thought about one for a Cannonball car, but I don't know. I circled the wagons a few times. I got close, but never did.
And Kessler, what are your thoughts on cannonballing a Jaguar XJ8L? Hang on.
Like mid-2000s?
Hang on. Let me go back and find this one. I apologize.
Please do apologize.
Yeah. XJ8L X350. A Jaguar.
I don't know what the X350 is, but if we're talking about like the mid, what's that? Yeah, mid-2000s Jaguar XJ8. Like, you're not going to set a record now. I think it would have been a really good contender back in the day, like when Alex did the M5 record. Like, that would have been a really good car. It's big. It's reasonably powerful. Room for a good fuel cell and comfortable, and it's not under the radar. I mean, everybody knows a Jaguar when they see it. I mean, if you have one and you want to do it in that, just go do it in that. I'm not going to tell you not to. I wouldn't seek that out to go set the record now. It's not going to work. It's not fast enough. But I like those cars. I'd own one if I needed a luxury sedan.
Drive Fast for Fun had one earlier tonight that I am glad I scrolled back through the chat to check. So we've got 3 cars I'm going to list for you. An 84 BMW 318i, 79 Porsche 924.
318i is the hatchback, right? No, that's the 318 Ti. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
318. So that's just a tiny motor. 84 318i. Okay.
79 924. And an
Ugh.
85 Z28. Okay.
Z28.
Camaro, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
All automatics.
Oh.
You have to daily one, track one, and crush
this
one.
question
Yeah.
again. Tractor 924 because it's a transactional car and has a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. It's automatic though. I would probably daily the Camaro Z28 because I could make it sound the best and I could do sweet burnouts. I would track the BMW because the 924 is just ugly. I'm sorry, everybody that owns one. And it's slower than everything, despite the 50-50 weight distribution. So I would crush the 924.
I'm honestly not even offended by that. An automatic early 924 is probably the worst Porsche that has ever existed.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Did they ever
Yeah.
make it the 914 in an auto? Those were
No.
manuals only. So
No.
even the 914 in its worst form is better than that, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not ugly.
There's some charm to the 924. a little
Did
bit.
you know charm is a trigger word that realtors are trained not to use in their
Really?
descriptions? It's like
Thank goodness I don't sell.
cozy and personality and other words like that. They're good real estate descriptions include specific feature words like granite and hardwood and stuff that people are looking for because people have a negative association with words like charm because they go, oh, so it was like Cracker Barrel, like your grandmother
Yeah.
decorated. That's the association people have with those words. So yes, you're right. The 924 has charm. Yes. All right, one more and then we are done. It is 9:30.
We can take it to our faithful viewers here on TikTok.
All right.
This one actually got a decent amount of conversation started.
Okay.
Joey Scrimmy Opinions on Chevy S10s.
We should ask Mark Spence that question
Yes, we
because he
should.
loves them.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
might not
they're-
care.
They're cheap. I don't have a strong opinion. Like, other than I think I had one as a poster on my wall when I was growing up, but it was like the Z. The same thing with the Blazer. What's the kind of lifted one from the factory with the graphics? The ZR2. Thank you. Yes, the one Mark Spence had. There you go. I told you he would have an opinion. So I think they were cool. I wouldn't own one ever. I don't think there's very many left around because they all rusted out and failed and stuff like that. I don't think that was the height of GM's quality. But, you know, it was a cheap truck. It's not as good as the Ford Ranger. I can say that much. All right. Thank you all for sticking around. We'll be back next week and look forward to it.